Peak performance coach for high impact leaders, AJ Madden here. Today we're going to discuss principle number 10, let people keep their dignity, from our 24 principles of leadership and self-protection. 1% Warrior Black Belt Boss, now available on Amazon and my website, coachajmadden.com. Please pick yourself up a copy if you'd like to improve your leadership and also improve your ability to protect yourself and those that you care about the most. Let people keep their dignity. Principle number 10. Let's talk about it from a self-protection application. Here's a quote from John Danaher. John Danaher is one of the most respected Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt instructors on the planet. He has coached numerous world champions and also George St. Pierre, the UFC champion at 170 and 185 pounds, one of the greatest fighters of all time. So John Danaher, long story short, one of the greatest coaches of all time in mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And here's a quote from John. Most people don't want to fight that badly. Most people don't want to fight that badly. Verbal de-escalation and diffusion. Again, the most important principle in all self-protection is awareness and avoidance. Don't be there in the first place. And avoidance includes verbal de-escalation, letting people keep their dignity, trying to talk people out of violence. All right, we're talking about social violence here, where someone wants to pick a fight with us in a social situation, a restaurant, a bar, a social gathering. Verbal de-escalation and diffusion. And one of the most important tips I can give you in that is just let people keep their dignity. Most people don't want to fight. And if you can let them keep their dignity and they don't have to fight, that's the best possible outcome. At that point, they'll walk away. One of my favorite words when I was working in the nightclub business, doing security work and management work, to de-escalate someone who was angry, an angry customer, maybe someone who we weren't going to let into the nightclub because they had already had too much to drink, so we weren't going to let them in the first place. When people would insult me and call me all kinds of great names, my favorite word was okay. I would just say, okay. That was it. And this allowed me to have an ego of smoke where everything just went right through and the insults would just pass right through me like they didn't even happen. Because it wasn't about me, it was about them and their inability to do something that they wanted to do, which was to come into the nightclub. So I would just repeat, okay, because it acknowledges I heard what they said, but it's not me going on the offensive and giving them a command or hurling an insult back, which is the worst thing you could possibly do. It's just an acknowledgement. I am respectful of what they're saying, but I am also not fearful, which is one of the most important principles in leadership and self-defense. Most important concepts is respectful but not fearful. When you're verbally de-escalating, when you're always letting people keep their dignity, you're respectful of that person, but you're not fearful. When you're negotiating a business deal, you're respectful of the other person, but you're not fearful. When you go for a job interview, you are respectful, but you are not fearful. You are not subordinate to someone. In a self-protection situation, you're respectful, but not fearful. You respect them, but you are not fearful. You will not subordinate yourself to them. Let's talk about social violence. And this is from Tim Larkin, self-defense expert instructor and author of When Violence is the Answer, which is a tremendous book on self-protection. He talks about two types of violence, and this was on the Art of Manliness blog. Tim says, it is essential we understand this distinction between social aggression and asocial violence right now. Social aggression is about competition. Asocial violence is about destruction. Competition has rules, destruction has none. Social aggression is about communication, implicitly with status indicators, but explicitly with lots of taunting and posturing. There is no talking in asocial violence. Open your mouth, and you are likely to eat a lightning-fast punch or a jacketed bullet traveling at 2,500 feet per second. In most social violence situations, your attacker can be persuaded not to fight through de-escalation techniques. And here's some examples of those: listening, agreeing, apologizing, keeping space, a safe space between you and your attacker, avoiding anything provocative, keeping your words short and to the point, letting them keep their dignity. Right? These are examples of how to de escalate a situation, letting people keep their dignity and keeping safe space and not being provocative, not being aggressive in your words. This is for social violence situations where someone can be talked out of it. Asocial is a predator breaks into your home, or asocial violence, a good way to think about it is the predator does not want any witnesses. Social violence is the person doesn't want to look bad, right? In a social violence situation, if you can't de escalate, you must walk away. You've got to walk away. If you can't walk away, you consider calling 911. I would say don't even consider it, but do it. Never hesitate to call 911. If it's not de escalating and you can't get away from it and you can't walk away, call 911 and let the police handle it. And don't hesitate to do that very quickly. You can do it right off the bat if you want. You don't have to wait for anything. So that is some self protection applications. Here's a leadership application. This is from Jim Ross. He says, converse, don't confront. Converse, don't confront. And you're going to have many difficult conversations as a leader. You are going to have to challenge people to improve their attitude or performance. And if you make it a conversation and not a confrontation, the vast majority of the time, it will go smoothly. If you really care deeply about someone, the person you're talking to, about their success and happiness, you can challenge them directly to be better. Always, again, let people keep their dignity. So praise in public and criticize in private. That's an often repeated saying in leadership, to praise in public and criticize in private. So if you have to have a constructive conversation, constructive criticism, give constructive criticism to someone, do it in private. Again, always letting them keep their dignity. Let's see. You want to ask yourself, this is what I call the hard truth test. And a hard truth is an uncomfortable truth that you have to be honest with someone about on your team. And you ask yourself, is it true? Does it benefit the person to hear it? And is it emotionally difficult? Is it emotionally difficult for you to have the conversation? So is it true? Does it benefit the person to hear it? And is it emotionally difficult for you to have it? Which is a good compass to say, yes, I do need to have it. If it's true and it benefits the person to hear it, have the conversation. Have the conversation. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Too many people let these conversations drag out in terms of when they actually have them. So sometimes it's weeks and months before they have a difficult conversation when they could have just had it that day in 5 minutes, but they just let it drag. I see this over and over and over again in leadership. I call it sticking your head in the sand leadership. This is where you just stick your head in the sand, you kind of ignore the situation. Instead of having that difficult conversation and being direct with someone, you just kind of stick your head in the sand and hope it goes away. I also refer to it as kick the can down the street management, where we're just kicking the problem down the street. We'll have it next week. Well, we make these excuses up in our head of why we can't have this conversation. I don't. I run directly towards difficult conversations because I know that that is the best possible thing for all parties. Create win-wins. A couple key tips to having difficult conversations as a leader is keep it simple and focus on one thing. Don't bombard them with 10 different things you think they need to improve on. Keep it as simple as possible. I say focus on one thing. Visualize the situation before you have it, or the conversation before you have it if you need to. Just run through it in your head. You can even role play it and practice it with someone that you respect and you admire. Have that conversation where you're having the conversation. The other person is the person that you're going to have the conversation with, and you can role play it out. Create win-win situations. Create win-win situations. So when you have a difficult conversation, don't make it a win-lose where the company wins or you win as a leader and that person loses in some way. Do everything you can to create a win-win for that person where both the team and that individual wins. And again, always let them keep their dignity, no matter what. Let people keep their dignity. A great way to make someone who never trusts you again is to remove someone's dignity. As a leader, if by just dressing someone down in public or criticizing them in public unnecessarily, that's a great way to destroy your relationship with someone as a leader. So that is principle number 10. Always let them keep their dignity. If you found this useful, please click like and subscribe. If you found this useful, please share it with someone that you believe will find this information helpful. If you'd like to improve your leadership and your ability to protect yourself and those you care about, pick yourself up a copy of 1% Warrior Black Belt Boss, available on Amazon on my website, coachajmadden.com. I wish you success and happiness, and I challenge you to always let people keep their dignity when you're having a difficult conversation.